Hello everyone, it's Redmond's Football Reports, and if you're new to the show, this is my name, Redmond, and my father, Martin.
Hello there.
Hello.
As always, we have quite a few bits and pieces to be looking at. A load of previews, but we're trying to keep everything quicker and more reduced, so it's not as many as we would have been doing. But we'll start with the results. And this was a Champions League week, Redmond?
Yep.
And a Europa League week?
Yep.
So were there any interesting games?
They were quite a few.
Well, here are quite a few results. Redmond, do you want to read down through the results?
So we have 3-1 from Real Madrid, Liverpool. It doesn't look good for Liverpool going through. I put down a 2-1 score, and I was quite close, but Daddy put down a 2-2 one.
I got 4.
Man City beats Borussia Dortmund 2-1. I'm right for the first time, and Daddy's with a 3-0. 1-1. I thought it's for Bayern Munich and PSG, but it's surprisingly 2-3 to PSG. While Daddy says it's 1-2. We have Chelsea breaking a 2-1 win against Porto. While I think it's 2-1 again also, and Daddy thinks it's just 1-0 to Chelsea.
Okay, I'll take over for the Europa League. Ajax lost 2-1 at home to Roma, while as Redmond predicted accurately, he got quite a few really bang on this week. 1, 2, 3 of them exactly correct so far.
No, so far.
2-1, the most common score in the Champions League and the Europa League this week. Arsenal managed to salvage a draw against Slavia Prague, a team that they should be beating quite easily if one was to believe the hype about English teams. And that is an interesting thing there today. The hype has proven not to be quite what everybody has been saying it was. Dinamo Zagreb lost 1-0 to Villarreal, which was not a big shock, to be honest. Unai Emery is on course to meet Arsenal or Slavia Prague with his Villarreal team in the final of the Europa League. And Granada lost 2-0 to Manchester United.
And
okay, we're not going to comment on that. No.
Has a
The Czech Republic drew 1-1 with Switzerland. That game is literally just finished about 15 minutes right now. Czech Republic had gone a goal up on a penalty on the 49th minute, but there was an equaliser with another penalty in the 90th minute from Switzerland, which should probably see Switzerland through, I'd imagine. I'd like to also note that the game, the women's playoff for the Euros between Ukraine and Northern Ireland has just kicked off. And at 19 hours 30 Central European time, the game between Portugal and Russia will be played then. Stop wheezing into the microphone. Rentistas lost 1-0 to Nacional, which guaranteed that the Uruguayan big side was the champion for the year. Defensa y Justicia lost 2-1 at home to Palmeiras, which means that they've got to be favourites to take the Recopa Sudamericana. And meanwhile, on Wednesday, Juventus played Napoli. It was 2-1 to Juventus. And who scored? Dybala is back. 4 minutes on the field and he scored the winner. Please stop kicking that underneath.
Scored the 2. And if you can get it all together of scores correctly, it's 3-2 to me. I think we should correct.
Oh, you want to start taking care of it now? Okay,
where
I see.
If you get one exactly right, you get a point.
Okay, we'll keep this for a couple of weeks. I'll work these out later.
3-2 to me in the game.
You're going to need to do some more research though, so I have time to do this. So that's been our chunk of results for the week. We have 5 different sections to look at in our in our sections. So in our previews. So we'll start here with section 1, which is the CAF or the African Champions League, Group A. We had been looking at Group C or B last week. And here is the state of play, as you can see right now in Group C. Wydad are up on top, 2 points clear. But they're definitely going through because the other game is between Horoya and Kaizer Chiefs. One or other of these teams will go out.
Go out of the
So let me have a look at little bits of preview. You can see the previous results and such like there. In terms of my preview for the big games, obviously Horoya versus Kaizer Chiefs. It was, as you can see, both on 8 points. There's a single goal in it. A draw will see Horoya go through ahead of the much fancied Kaizer Chiefs, whereas Kaisers have to win. That's basically the end of the game. The previous game was a scoreless draw in Guinea. You'd ordinarily maybe fancy Kaisers to win a... What is wrong with you? Can you not be part of this without making it all about everyone focusing on you? Come on, listen up and make your comments. The previous game was a scoreless draw. Horoya looked good in this. Meanwhile, in the top versus bottom, we'd add Casablanca, a massive team in Morocco, obviously. They're already through a draw and they will top the group regardless of what happens in the other game. Realistically, unless it's a 7-0 blowout for Horoya, which I don't expect. They lost a game to Kaizer and drew with Horoya, so they're very clear. They're very soft. Petro's only point, I should say, came from a home game against Kaizer Chiefs or Kaizer's Chiefs. But I don't fancy them to do anything at all. Redmond. What do you think, Horoya against Kaisers?
They're two big teams. I don't think it's going to have anyone win. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
Okay, I fancy Horoya to finish the job off and win 2-1 against Kaisers, given that they have home advantage. We'd add Casablanca against Petro Atletico. What do you think?
Well, I think it's going to be 0-0.
0-0. God, you're not exciting at all. Personally, I think Casablanca are just going to walk through it being a home game. 3-0 doesn't really matter to them, but they'll want the win. And I have breaking news as we speak. There has been a score in the Northern Ireland-Ukraine game taking place out in Kiev or wherever.
And guess who scored? It's Northern Ireland.
Yes, it's in Kovlavica. And Northern Ireland are
winning
1-0 up through Rachel Furness after 5 minutes. So, breaking news as we watch the games that are going on. There are a few other games going on. Let's see if there's anything interesting.
I'm going to actually look at the scoring the whole time.
Apparently in Belarus's Premier League, Energetic are losing 1-0 to Sputnik Rakitsa. In France, Bastia Borgo are beating Annecy in the 3rd tier. And in the Ghana Premier League, Ebusua Dwarves are drawing 1-1 with 11 Wonders, and that's just into the second half. Okay, section 2 on... No, you can leave that be and you can engage with the actual thing we're meant to be doing. Okay? This is where we're at. You're going to talk to the people? There's somebody watching and you're not giving them your full attention. There we go. So I'm going to pick my 2 for the week, and I play to home teams as I have done tomorrow. There's 2 games on, one at 17 hours Central European and one at 19 hours Central European. At 17 hours Central European, which would be, if I'm not mistaken, 18 hours local, which would be about right. It's HJK of Helsinki playing against Inter Turku of Turku in the Suomen Cup semi-finals. These 2 teams have they've been basically the top of the cup in recent years, with the exception of 2 years ago, 2019, when I know Turku got to the semis. I think HJK got knocked out quite early on, maybe in the group stages. They've recently played cup finals in 2014, 2018 and 2020. Inter Turku won the 2018 one, and the 2021 was the first time that the cup final was ever played in Turku. It was played in the Veritas Stadium. You know, the one we normally go to.
Yeah.
Ordinarily, a lot of the time, the cup final in Finland has been played in what is now the Telia 5G arena, but had been the Sonera, basically HJK's home stadium and kind of the national stadium in so many ways. So it was nice to see it in Turku last year. Now, Redmond and I, we went to see these two play 3 times when we lived in Finland in 2019. We saw them play in a tent in the Cup, which was a 1-0 win to Turku. We travelled into Turku, having actually flown back from Ireland, where we went on a visit in April 2019, and it was a 2-1 win to HJK. And then we saw, was it 3-1 or 4-1? A win for
4-1.
Inter. 4-1 win in the Veritas Stadium in Turku, which was a spectacular and splendid game. Do you remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
It was a good one,
It
wasn't
was really good.
So we have some experience of them. These are two decent sides. I'd hope it'll turn out to be a good game. There must be a result on the night, but after 90 minutes, Redmond, what do you think the score is going to be?
Well, 1-1.
1-1?
They're just both great big teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to score a goal, but not that many.
Yeah.
Because they have good goalkeepers and good attackers.
I see.
And they need to use those guys to goal off them. But if any of them don't have their best players out on the field, I think it might be 1-0 to the other side.
Okay, whichever that other side is. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for HJK. The fact is the snow the snow won't be on the ground. It won't be on the stadium at this point. We've seen what it's like with the snow in the stadium. But my fear is home advantage will be too much and HJK should slip through this one 2-1. Obviously, I hope they don't. Meanwhile, later on that day, 19 hours CET, Finn Harps are playing Waterford United. Sorry, Waterford FC. I'm old. I'm taking a while to get used to it. Finn Harps are first, which is mad. Waterford are 7th. There's 3 games in. Waterford have the 1 win. Finn Harps have 2 wins and a draw. Waterford haven't beaten Harps since March 2019, which was the last time that Redmond and I went to a Blues game. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, and comment down below what you guess the score would be. And the answer is 4-0 to them. Comment down below what you guessed what the score was.
Well, the score of the game we went to was indeed 4-0 to Waterford, but this game is taking place up in Donegal. Finn Harps recently got a big grant of nearly 4 million, I think, to develop the stadium there. They have a stadium 1/5 the way built, and it's sitting rotten now, which is disappointing. However, they've had a great start to the season this year. They beat Bohemians in their first game, then beat Dundalk in Oriel Park, which is probably a little comment on Shane Keegan and maybe on somebody else there, but that's another day's discussion entirely. Redmond, what do you think? Finn Harps against Waterford.
I think Finn Harps don't have anything. I don't think Waterford has anything against Finn Harps. 2-0 Finn Harps.
Okay, and I'm going to be optimistic and say a 1-1 draw would not be a bad result. It's a long way to travel. I'm pretty sure this is the longest journey either Finn Harps or Waterford have this year.
And here we are from the last one. This is the first ever game from Racing Louisville.
This is not actually how we're starting talking about this. Redmond, slow down. See, it's not listed there. Not listed there. You have to slow down. Section 3 is where it's listed, and this is the weekend that starts the NWSL Challenge Cup, NWSL National Women's Soccer League in the United States, as you can see by the teams playing. Can I finish my intro and then I let you over? Yes. Okay. So you can see 4 games this week. There are 10 teams in the league, so there's 2 teams with a week off, which is Olympic Reign up in Seattle, Tacoma, that neck of the woods, and the newly renamed Gotham City, which is a New York, New Jersey thing. But they're divided into groups of 5 each. They'll each play 4 games, 2 at home, 2 away, and then the winners of each group will go into a final, much like the Challenge Cup last year. Last year was the first year of the Challenge Cup because they didn't actually have a league, thanks to the COVID. So it was popular, and I think it's a great idea. Last year it was held in a bubble in Rio Tinto, which is in Salt Lake. Wonderful. Salt Lake has now moved to Kansas because the guy who owns Salt Lake basically had some rather questionable attitudes on the sexism front. And so the team debunked, and they've been sold to Kansas. They don't actually have a proper name yet. The final last year was Houston Dash against the Chicago Red Stars, which was a win. The first time I think Houston had gotten to any kind of playoffs. Stephanie Roach's old team, Houston. They won. They beat Chicago Red Stars in the final. Portland Thorns, obviously a fairly well-known team. And North Carolina Courage, they're the current champions of NWSL's league. They should have a win there against Orlando Spirit. We'll come back to that. But we're going to talk for a very brief moment about Racing Louisville. Or do you want to say anything before we start talking about Racing Louisville?
Racing Louisville is the newest team in America, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying it was going to made 2 years ago to 1 year ago.
They were announced just over a year and a half ago.
Yes, and they finally had their team, and we also knew the first two players for Racing. I can't remember them. Can you remember them, Dad?
The one I will always think of is Suki Nakamoto, even the Japanese player. An immense player. I can't remember if Chain Matthews was one of the first ones named or not, but she's fantastic.
Yeah, she is fantastic.
Unfortunately, while I hope Suki Nakamoto is Nagasato. God, what's wrong with me today? Hopefully, Yuki Nagasato is going to be playing tomorrow. But it looks like Chain Matthews may be out. Somebody was telling me she'll be joining after the Challenge Cup. I was like, I'd like to have seen her in early. This is the first time they're playing together. They've played a couple of friendlies against college teams, but they haven't really had any game before this.
Yeah. And this is the first game for Racing Louisville.
It is indeed. So there's a few players that we're looking forward to seeing. It's going to be happening where we are at midnight. So Redmond's going to have to watch it the following day. But it isn't midnight. Yeah, it's 12:30, I think, at night or something like that here, midnight. On the Sunday morning, the 11th. But, this is, it's exciting to play Orlando. Orlando didn't take part in the Challenge Cup last year because of a rash of COVID positives. So it'll be nice to see them. This is sort of like the other side of Orlando City. And Amanda Duffy, who had been the get-go woman on Louisville City, don't do that again. And then was running the NWSL, actually moved to a position as executive vice president of Orlando Pride, which basically means she's the person who's really running it. And she's been doing that since February last year. Their big name players are obviously Marta and Alex Morgan and Sydney LaRue. We very nearly saw Marta once when she was with Brazil, but she didn't come on in that game against Jamaica. But we did get to see Chaina Matthews play. So, yeah, I'm excited to see it. Redmond, who do you think is going to win these different games? We'll start with Houston Dash against Chicago Red Stars.
I think Chicago Red Stars get maybe a draw.
Okay, you have to be awkward, don't you?
D&D.
Portland Thorns, what do you think is going to happen for them against Kansas City?
No idea.
Well, it's win, lose, or draw.
Win for Kansas City.
Okay. North Carolina Courage against Washington Spirit. What do you think?
Washington Spirit loses.
God almighty. You really make it as hard as possible. And we actually have a score, you think, for Racing Louisville against Orlando Pride?
1-0 Racing Louisville.
Okay, I'm going to go
They're new, and I just think they can get a goal off them.
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think that'd be a good result. I suspect we are going to see not much of the full squad for Orlando Pride. Maybe not so many of the US stars, this only being the Challenge Cup. That gives us a good chance, I think. I hope. We'll see. Looking forward to those games over the weekend. They're on CBS All Access, Paramount Plus as it's now called. If you have it, if you don't have it, you can probably get it illegally. So we are running late, Redmond. We need to run on to section 4, which is your set of teams.
And can I tell them out?
You can call them out, yes.
So it's Liverpool, Aston Villa. Liverpool are kind of on the way coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think they'll draw with Aston Villa. The last time I think I remember Liverpool playing against Aston Villa. Guess.
It was something like 6-1 or 7-2, wasn't it?
7-2 to Aston Villa. That was like so embarrassing.
Not for me, it wasn't.
It was very embarrassing for me, for the players. And you think it's going to be 3-1 to Liverpool?
I do. I think Liverpool are back in form. They're much improved. They're winning games. Okay, they lost to Real Madrid during the week, but it is Real Madrid. Aston Villa did win their last game, but they've not been doing great, and that was only against Fulham. They are only 5 points behind, and they are actually in 9th, which is very surprising at this point of the year. But, I mean, they're missing Jack Grealish, and I don't see who they have who's going to sort of step up. Trezeguet is a very good player. I have a lot of time for him for the Egyptian national team. But is he going to be able to do enough on his own? Redmond, next one up, we're going to talk about... so you said it's going to be a 1-1 draw?
Yeah.
And I said it was going to be 3-1. Let's talk about Juventus against Genoa next.
Well, Genoa. They're in the top league and...
They're 13th at the moment.
13th. And against basically 4th. 13th versus 4th.
13th against 3rd. Juventus are currently a point behind Milan, 1 point ahead of Atalanta and 3 ahead of Napoli. So they're likely to stay in position even if they lose this weekend. But it is Genoa who have, famously not been good this year. Mm-hmm. Genoa are they've just gotten up to 10 points clear of relegation, so they're probably going to do okay. Juve beat them 3-1 in the league in December, and then 3-2 in the cup after extra time in January. That was when Juve started to show serious wobbles. But the good news, Redmond, what is the good news for Juve?
Well, they have Paulo Dybala is back in the game.
And you can get your speakers fixed for your computer at any local stockist. So that should have an impact. So what do you think is going to be the score? Don't in my ear.
I think it's going to be 3-1 to Juventus.
You think so? Against Genoa? I can believe that.
Yeah, because Ronaldo, all the good players, and the ball's back. They'll make a goal because of the last game. He has hope for their team. And I just think they have a brilliant team. And also, can I show you soon, you kind of talk about
I will do that in a moment. I have to give my score. I think it's going to be 2-0 to Juve for many of the reasons you thought.
And I'm going to go get my card, Dybala.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about Real on my own. Okay. Yeah. So Real Madrid against Barcelona is probably the biggest league game this week. Real are... Oops, do I have this up? Let me check my thing. Yep, I do. Real are in this taking place at 21 hours Central European time on Saturday night in Madrid in the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium. So the one that famously Jurgen Klopp said isn't great. Compared to the Bernabeu, it is not great, but it's so much better stadium than most people's local teams have. It's second against third, 2 points between them. Barcelona have 65 points as opposed to the 63 of Real. Atletico Madrid have 66, and they play Betis, who are on a bit of a push. They're coming up the league at the moment. Basically, the goal difference is very much in favour of Barcelona. Close the door, thank you. It's 44 goals for Barcelona and 28 for Real, because Real have been building off a better defence, really. The defence has been their main thing. Of course, they're missing both Varane and Ramos at the moment, as well as Carvajal is out as well. So that defence does not look quite so solid. Felipe Coutinho and Ansu Fati are both out for Barcelona. So it's looking like it could be... I mean, I would suspect in Spain it is being talked about as the question of who is going to be the league champions. Atletico are still in front. but it's only by points. So it's a big game, regardless of whether it's the end game. Redmond, before you show your card, what do you think? Real against Barcelona.
Real Madrid 1, Barcelona 1.
See, I don't see either team failing to concede, but I do genuinely think that it is going to be a potential Barcelona win. 2-1, I'm going to suggest. Okay, are you ready to show the thing to everybody because they all need to see it?
It's a Underbala card.
Slow down. People can't see things that are shaking. There you go.
Yeah, if you would like, you can also read all the things on the ball if you just pause.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to see, just pause on the video and you can just see all the stats on him.
Well, can we carry on and maybe get this done in under half an hour? I was hoping we'd get this done in like 24 minutes, but no, not to be happening. Last game of the weekend. They take place on the Sunday morning at 8:05 Central European time. All the women's games in Australia take place at 5 minutes past the hour, and this is no different. It is the final of the playoffs of the league, of the W League. Sydney FC, who won who topped out the regular season, played third placed Melbourne Victory, who with 2 games remaining were actually in 5th. They leapfrogged 2 teams to finish 3rd. They beat Brisbane, was it 5-2 or 6-2 last weekend? 5-2, I think. Sydney beat Canberra 3-2. Please don't do that. You'll wreck your card. So it is the big final. What notes do I have for it? Basically, Melbourne have come back from behind and are probably in almost the best form, only for Sydney. Sydney have lost twice all season, and really spectacularly, but they have been relentless. Melbourne won. Melbourne beat them last season, but in February, but they lost their last game to them last month, which is the last game of the season, or the regular season. It didn't matter; they were in 3rd, and they weren't going to be going into 2nd if they won it. But it is interesting. Sydney are the more unbeaten of the sides. Of the 2 teams, Melina Ayres has scored 8 this season for Melbourne, while Remy Simonson has got 7. Neither of them have relied on penalties to score. And they are only the 2nd and 3rd best scorers of the season for in the W League. Redmond, big game. Sydney FC against Melbourne Victory for the championship.
3-0 Sydney FC.
That'll translate as 3-0 to Sydney FC. Personally, I think I like to dream. I like to believe. So I'm hoping for a 2-1 win for Melbourne Victory to sort of crown their comeback season, or the comeback towards the end of the season. So that's it. That's our previews for the week. We're going to slap up the preview. What do you want to do? You want to show the Tabala card again?
Yeah, just the back side. And
Yes.
also...
So now they can all make copies of that card and have it in their own things, yeah?
Yeah, at their own books.
Yeah, of course.
The quote was hard.
It is a cool card. I had to go out of my way to find that one for him.
Yeah. Before I even got the packet of that thing, I didn't even have basically a Juventus card or basically any Italy cards.
No, you didn't. That was an oversight, I think, on the part of Match Attacks. But anyway. So I'm going to put up the previews, yeah? Do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Bye, everyone, on Redmond's Football Reports.
Bye, folks.
Bye.